Hey, I'm Chase, and this is All Things Rome. Today, we're looking at the San Martin Bronze Diver with the blue dial. This watch was sent to me by review. However, it's got to be sent back out. So I'm going to give you my honest opinion about this watch. In no way is it going to be swayed at all. In fact, I own a San Martin Bronze Diver that I reviewed over a year ago. That next video, I'll be comparing them side by side. We'll see which one's better, older or newer. So let's just flip the camera around and hop right in the video. Okay, and here it is, the San Martin Bronze Vintage Blue Bezel Diver. Now, this goes by many different names. In the past, because I have something extremely similar, it was just the San Martin Vintage Bronze Diver with the green dial. Some people are calling these the Ghost, the Blue Ghost, the Ocean Ghost. I don't believe in no ghosts, so we're just going to go with that. Now, if you guys have watched my review on the other San Martin Bronze Diver I did maybe a year ago, then you'll know that this case is already 1,000 times better than the one I got in that one, and the cost of the watch is basically the same. So already, they're upgrading the cases. Now, my next video on this is going to be comparing this watch to that other watch, and you'll see there are some extreme similarities and some extreme distances. So without any further ado, let's open up the box. Already, I love this Pelican style case. These things are extremely expensive. It's really nice. You can see there's actually a waterproof seal up at the top. It's nice because this is going to be a good traveling case, especially if you're going to some place like the islands, which if this is a dive watch, you're going to take it to some place where you can possibly dive. Let's take a closer look and get rid of this giant case. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I absolutely love about this watch. Like any bronze diver, it has its own unique style, its own patina, its own aging process that it's going through. It's really great to see. I am not the first person to hold this watch, so it's nice to see a little bit of character. But I will tell you, compared to my green dial, I love this blue one far more. It has a very nice sunburst effect. In fact, it's extremely nice, and in the sunlight, it just, it's just so brilliant that it just has a depth all of its own. Now, if you look at the indices, they are sort of a bronze gold themselves, and the lume inside looks more like a cream custard color, which sort of flows with the overall aesthetic of the watch. One of the things I noticed right off the bat was that date window. Man, that thing just magnifies right off, at least 2.5 times, which is the appropriate size for something like a Rolex. Nobody ever gets that right, but man, that thing just pops right out. It fills almost that entire Cyclops window. It's really good to see. Now let's go over some case dimensions of this watch, but to do so, I'm actually going to use my caliper so I can get it right. Now we're going to make sure this is zeroed, and we're going to get a measurement of the diameter. Now the diameter in the furthest point is going to be just over 41. I think this is a 40 millimeter watch. However, it's always nice to sort of gauge it on your own. One of the things that I really learned about sort of just taking advantage of looking at a website and just reading whatever they tell me is the fact that an example would be the new 41 millimeter Rolex Submariner. Well, it was actually measured with calipers by Jenny Ellie, and it was found to be smaller really relatively than the maxi case that its predecessor was. So because of that, it actually wears smaller, even though it's listed as a 41 millimeter and the maxi case is listed as a 40 millimeter. So it's always good to measure it yourself. Now the lug to lug is also extremely important when dealing with watches. This is just over 48, and that's because the footprint of the watch on your wrist is really indicative more of the lug to lug than it is the overall case diameter. You can have a 44 millimeter watch with under a 50 millimeter lug to lug, and it actually wears smaller than something that has a larger lug to lug. Now, one of the things that I really like about this watch is it's thin. It's not thick at all. In fact, this is a pretty thin watch. If it's anything like my other San Martin Bronze Diver, it's gonna be relatively small at 12.5 millimeters, which is very small, especially for an automatic bronze diver. An automatic diver that has a Seiko NH35 that everybody knows and everybody loves, especially someone who collects watches. It's basically in every micro brand, in things like Invicta, and the reason why they have it in those is because it has hacking and hand winding and is a workhorse movement that is relatively inexpensive. This watch itself goes for just under $300 on places like AliExpress, and you can find it on eBay, you can find it on Amazon. Now there's different variations. There's things with like wave dials and everything else, and this is just the Sunburst Blue, but overall it's a great looking watch. One of the things I really like about it is it has, boom, a stainless steel back. Now the reason it has a stainless steel back is because some people have allergic reactions to things like bronze. It also saves you from getting, a horrible green footprint or a horrible green smudge on your wrist, because as this thing sort of ages and patinas, the hotter you are in the sun, the more it's going to rub off. And I'll give you an example. On my other San Martin bronze diver, right here at the crown is the only place that actually touches my wrist. And on a very hot day, when I spend a lot of time building a deck, on my wrist, right about right here, was a nice green smudge from that bronze. It's the nature of the game. If you want to wear a bronze watch, you have to understand that that's what you'll be getting, but it's good to see that it has a stainless steel case. This has sort of been the standard on the case backs if it's a bronze watch. Good to see. It does have like a sort of distressed leather suede strap, which is almost exactly what my other one came on. It's very nice, very comfortable, quick release straps, and then it has a bronze buckle to match the watch itself. Now, speaking of the crown, it unscrews relatively easy. You can see that the second hand did stop, so it definitely does have hacking, which is nice. Hacking isn't necessarily necessary, I guess you could say, using that word twice, because, a lot of watches don't have hacking, don't have hand winding. You can use something like the Seiko SKX007. Didn't have any of that, and it was still a great watch, still workhorse movement, but it's good to see that. Let's hit it at midnight. The one that I had prior that I'll show you in a comparison video, honestly, I'll be real with you. My green one is far better with the movement inside. Supposedly, the movement that they used in my other one was not an NH35, but was sort of a Chinese replica of the ETA 2824. I'm not really sure if that's true, but the date function of the other one, like that, it pops over. It's actually pretty amazing, and I'll do a comparison video on the next video of that one and this one. They both were relatively the same cost. However, I can't find the other one anywhere. Now let's talk about the bezel on this. The bezel action is nice, and it's extremely hard. It's actually nice because it doesn't turn too easily, but it's also like, again, that double-edged sword, because it takes a little bit to actually turn it. However, it does have really nice coin edge grip on the top, which is good to see. It does have a really deep engraving on that bezel, so you know that that's not going anywhere, and it's nice that it's also made in bronze. Now here is the watch on my 7¼ inch wrist, and it fits relatively well. The dimension size of it is very nice, and it's overall extremely comfortable. One of the things I love is the fact that it is extremely thin and slim, so it's going to fit underneath any cuffling pretty well. However, this is not really a dress watch. This is more of an everyday sports watch. I'm wearing a polo, not really a suit type of thing, so it doesn't really matter how well it slips underneath the cuff, but the slimmer the watch is, the more low profile it is, the better it just wears, in my opinion. You don't want to have a brick on your wrist. Other than that, extremely comfortable, extremely happy so far with it. I'm going to have it for a few days. I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see just how accurate it is and do a side-by-side comparison with my other San Martin. Now, this is a newer San Martin. The other San Martin I have is, about 3 years old, so maybe the movement's different, maybe everything else is different, but it has some pros and cons of this one, just like the other one. An example of the other one that is a pro that this one doesn't have is the triangle on the bezel at the 12 o'clock has a lume pip on it, whereas my other one has that entire triangle just filled with lume. So it is bright, brilliant. I don't necessarily know if I like it. I like this look a lot better. It's more reminiscent of that classic Submariner. However, we're going to see. Test them out side by side. Now, so far, I'm impressed by the San Martin diver with the blue dial. I really like the bronze, and I've liked the bronze in the past. I'll probably never get rid of my San Martin bronze diver that I already own. But, again, is it better than the one that I already have? I'm not really sure. The movement in the newer one that I just got is an NH35. The movement in the older one is not an NH35. I know that because it's far better. It does things that the NH35 doesn't do, like the quick change date. Now again, I'm going to compare them side by side. You guys can make your own decision on which watch is better. Now if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment of the content you guys would like to see on this channel. I have a lot of videos coming up in the future, so make sure you're hitting the notification bell so you guys can be notified when I drop my next video. Till next time.